Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tuesday's episode of Trending. Today, we're going to be talking about Trump going for Greenland again. Netanyahu says that Israel isn't going to attack Iran. It is. And is Starmer rejoining the EU by stealth? Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Trending. It's been a while since I've seen you, and in fact, I can't even see you. It's been a while since you've seen me. I hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year. Right, let's kick off with Donald Trump then. Not like that. Trump says he's very serious. He looks serious, doesn't he? He's very serious about taking Greenland, despite warnings it will end NATO. Donald Trump has doubled down on his territorial ambitions for Greenland, despite warnings that his plans for the Danish territory could destroy NATO. Well, if anything, that will actually probably garner support from his base, who can't stand NATO. So actually, it's not really much of a threat, that. The US president has been vocal about his desire to take control of the self-governing, mineral-rich Arctic island since returning to the White House, despite America and Denmark being NATO allies. Of course, for those of you that don't know, although I'm sure you all absolutely do, those that are signed up to NATO, so all these different countries that are signed up to NATO, basically have a pact to align with and protect each other. So if one of those nations is attacked, one of those nations is invaded, has land stolen, whatever, then all the others come to their aid. Bit of a problem if two of those nations that are scrapping are both part of NATO, of course. So that's what they're saying in terms of it could destroy NATO. Now, it is mineral rich, and of course they've put that in the article there as a little throwaway, as kind of it's self-governing, it's mineral rich, as that's the reason why Donald Trump wants Greenland. And of course that is going to be part of it. Of course it is. That's what America and, to be fair, Great Britain historically and many others have done. If you've got something that we want, then we just go and take it. See Venezuela. And it's okay when we do it. But it's not the main reason. That's really, really hot. Now, what you tend to have in these situations is you'll have the public excuse. So that's the one that's regurgitated by the politicians. In this case, it's for self-defense. We need Greenland because of self-defense, because you've got Chinese military boats around, you've got Russians, everyone's, all the bogeymen, so we need it, right? So that's the main excuse. Then what they do is they'll allow you to have a second excuse for those people that don't buy the first one. Now, in this case, it's mineral rich. Now, like I say, that is part of it, of course, but it's not going to be the main reason. So those people that go, it's nothing to do with self-defense. Honestly, what is it? Oh, it's mineral rich. There we go. So we're kind of ring-fenced in that. Perfect example for that is the whole COVID stuff, right? So the official narrative was it came out of a wet market, some guy ate a bat or something, and it spread out everywhere. Now, they know not everyone's going to buy that because it's nonsense. So what they allow is for the little second excuse to come out, which is Wuhan lab. So for the people that don't buy the bat, you got the Wuhan lab, and that will ring fence them. And obviously the whole real scenario of it just being complete nonsense is kind of tucked away a little bit. So it's the same thing here with this. And I guess you've got it with Venezuela, where they're saying, oh, it's because of the narco gangs. Of course, it's nothing to do with that, and no one really believes that, not sincerely. So then you have the second one, which is, oh, it's just the oil, which, of course, is part of it, but it's not all of it. I'll continue. Speaking after a US raid captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, he told The Atlantic, the newspaper, not the Sea, we need it for defense. Again, like I say, that's the public consumption excuse. Now, it's not about defense. It is about minerals partly, like I say, but it's about, in my mind, it's about two things. One is causing chaos, because that's why Donald Trump's there. He's a chaos agent. And to be fair to him, he's very good at it. He splits the room completely. That's the whole point of his presidentship. It causes chaos, but also it's another step on building this North American region. Because ultimately what they want is they want the world split into regions. It's what the EU was all about. It's what NAFTA was all about. They want it split into regions. So then those regions then answer to a central government. That's the long-term. Oh, be careful doing that. That's the long-term goal, of course, is a one world government, a one world army, a one world bank, all that kind of stuff. Now they're taking a step towards that each time, and one of those steps, of course, is building these regions, like I say, the EU. So with Donald Trump, you've got a fact where he's gone into Venezuela, of course, which is, just south of Mexico. It's kind of got issues going on with Mexico, with the border and stuff, and I'm sure we'll see things escalate there, perhaps. We're talking about Cuba, again, which sits in that Central American region. Now talking about Colombia, so maybe we're not even going for a North American region, maybe we're going for the whole shebang, because they've got a massive American ally in Argentina anyway, well, an Israeli ally, so they've kind of got that anyway. Then he was talking about making Canada the 51st state, wasn't he? Now he's obsessed with Greenland. And when you look at that map, you go, well, it's just an American region then, isn't it? Which is, like I say, is the ultimate goal of it. To be controlled centrally by a one world government, as I say. And nation states have been attacked for a long, long time. A long, long time. Some more than others. But we've got to a point now where basically I think Israel is basically the only country in the world that's allowed self-determination, is allowed to control its borders and allowed to say no to mass immigration. They're literally the only country on the planet that seems to be allowed to do that. Everyone else has got to, take their share and their quota of refugees and X, Y, and Z, which of course massively affects the country. It changes the culture. It destabilizes it economically. We've seen this in Europe, massively in Europe, particularly in the United Kingdom. It sets people against each other within those countries, which causes chaos, which affects the nation. And also what it does is it creates an apathy towards the culture of the nation. People see it as being lost. So if you're in a position where you are a patriotic guy, you love your country, you love the culture of your country, it's great, you've been brought up with it generation after generation after generation, it's ingrained in you, you're taught at school to love your culture and love your country and be proud of it, then are you going to accept your country being swallowed up into a region? Well, no. And are you going to accept your country being swallowed up into a one world government? Absolutely not. However, if you destroy the country in many and various ways, which is what they're doing all over the shop, particularly in Europe, like I say, and massively in the United Kingdom, and then you create this mass immigration, which kind of changes the culture and changes dynamics and changes community cohesion, makes people feel apathetic and depressed and demoralized, so that they what's the point? What's the point? And then you have others that are like, well, we don't have a culture anyway. What I've said this before. What's the British dish? What is it? Chicken tikka masala? Yeah, great culture. What's the most common name in Britain? Mohammed? Yeah, great culture. So you're apathetic towards it. So then are you going to be more inclined to fight for it being regionalized or fight for it being swallowed up into a one world government? Well, less so, because it's gone anyway, isn't it? And then you've got that going on, whilst at the same time, through the last few decades, really, through schooling, you're taught, and the media, but through schooling, you're taught actually to kind of dislike your culture, dislike your country, not be proud of it, far from it, be ashamed of it. Look at the color of your skin. It's very privileged. So therefore, are you going to fight to maintain a country and a culture and a way of life that you've been taught to be ashamed of? Well, not really. With notable exceptions, most people are like, well, we've had our day, we were horrible. And that's not to say that, Britain doesn't have a dark history in terms of that, and America certainly does as well. But this is where we're connected with our governments, and we shouldn't be. I love Britain, I love England, I can't stand my government. And that goes for all of us, in whatever country you're watching this in. All I can categorize, because I don't know much about you individually, of course not, but what I can say with pretty much certainty is that you don't hate your government enough, no matter what country you're in. Another great way, of course, to get people to agree to an expansion of a region, which is what I believe a lot of this Greenland stuff is about. like I say, as well as the minerals, but above that, and ultimately a one world government, is, well, fear, war. And look around the world at the minute. So you've got Russia, Ukraine in Europe. You've got Israel saying they're not going to attack Iran, and then we certainly are. So you've got war in the Middle East and all that stuff that goes with that. You've got China, Taiwan, all that stuff going on there with the Philippines as well. That's all a powder keg waiting to go. You've got Venezuela and the USA. Now they're talking about going into Colombia. So it's literally like everywhere you look, it's chaos and it's kicking off. And of course, the more that happens, the more fear that seeds in people, the more it destroys things economically, then the more likely people are to accept whatever the solution is to that chaos that you've caused. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, has, sorry, it's weird spelling. Not that I should be telling Danish people how to spell their names, but, you know, if Trump's allowed Greenland, I can tell them how to spell their name. Has since warned that in the event of a US invasion of the territory, everything stops, including NATO. And actually, that might be the plan. Like, ultimately, that might be the plan. Because, of course, NATO, that alignment of all those countries together, which essentially all answer to the same, because they have to do what they're told if one of them's attacked. That's a stepping stone, of course, to a one world army, isn't it? You know, you want a one world army, you've got all these individual nations that all have individual armies. So by amalgamating a bunch of them together, that's a step, isn't it, on that road to a one world army? Of course it is. But maybe, and this is just me riffing, folks, but maybe to take that final step to the one world army, answerable to the one world government, you actually need to get rid of NATO. So NATO's a couple of steps towards it. But to take that final leap, that final step, you kind of need everyone fighting everyone. And so with so many nations in NATO, you could kind of do with a few of them scrapping too. We want ultimate chaos here. So maybe they'll allow NATO to be destroyed, to then allow those NATO allies to fight each other and whatever, which leads then to a greater conflict and the greater excuse then for a one world army and a one world government to restore peace. I mean, look at it. Look at the films. Look at books like 1984 for a start, where it's all split into regions. But you look at things like V for Vendetta, where it's a dystopian nightmare set in London, but it's built off the back of the carnage of the fall of the United States and other superpowers in major conflicts. And so if this is the thing, if I say to you, right, we want a one world government, one world army, one world bank, most people would go, no thanks, you're all right, mate. So as I was speaking about earlier, you create the apathy and meh towards your own nation. So that will allow more people to be kind of hoodwinked into accepting that sort of greater control of power. Another way of doing it is war and conflict, because you sell the one world army and the one world government with the excuse of it can never happen again. Remember, we had the First World War and we redrew some maps and we created a few organizations and we centralized a little bit of power. Didn't work though, did it? No, because we had a second one. Yeah, we had a Second World War. And then at the end of that, we created a few more organizations and the UN and things like that. And they were, but then that didn't work, did it? Look. Blimmin' third one. We're going to have to go the whole way, mate. We're going to have to centralize power into one government with one army. Because that's good, isn't it? Because there can't be any war. If there's one army, there can't be any war, can there? And everyone goes, oh, yeah, that's a really good point, that. Yeah, because who would they fight? Well, they'd fight anyone that disagreed with the one world government. But we'll ignore that. Forget that bit. And actually, maybe further down the line, if people still aren't going to accept this one world government, one world army, we'll throw in a fake alien invasion, chuck one of them in, and then the people will go, well, yeah, we need a one world army because we've got a common threat. Little green men and stuff. And people will probably accept it. That's the annoying part. But what I do find funny about this fake alien invasion stuff, and see Project Bluebeam and all this stuff, people have been speaking about for a long, long time. I think that's the final one. That's like the last button. If nothing else is working, they'll go, bring in the saucers then, mate. But what I find funny about that is obviously you've got your conspiracy theorists and your alternative people that have been speaking about aliens and UFOs and, Roswell and all this kind of stuff for decades and decades. And the normies have been tinfoil hat, idiot, and all that stuff, right? And then what'll happen is there'll be a fake alien invasion and all the normies will go, oh my God, it's aliens. We're under attack. One world army. And all the conspiracy theorists will go, ain't real, mate. It ain't real. That does make me laugh because that's how it will go. You know that's how it will go. Okay, so Keir Starmer has sided with his Danish counterpart, but Mr. Trump has refused to back down, insisting he needs the island right now. He's a chaos agent, mate. He is, and that's his role. Like I said earlier, it's to divide. I've said it multiple times. You will very rarely find anyone that goes, Donald Trump, no, he's all right. Yeah, he's all right. It's the Trump derangement syndrome they talk about, right, goes on both sides. It does, where people are obsessed and obsessed. He can't do anything right. He can't do anything wrong. And it goes to such extremes where, you've seen the memes of the people screaming at the air and stuff in the street like maniacs. But then on the other hand, you've got those that are so supportive of him that, honestly, they could come in, and I've said it before, but I actually believe it's true. They could come in and they could see his little orange backside on top of their wife, and they go, oh, got to trust the plan, man. I've got to trust the plan. I don't like it because I'm just looking at his sweaty back, but there's a plan. I know there is, Q said. Right, so, and that's the problem, before I finish, it's that tribalism stuff, and I've spoken about it a bunch of times before. If something's wrong, it's wrong. So just say it's wrong. It doesn't matter who's doing it. It shouldn't matter who's doing it. So him going in and capturing people, like presidents of other countries, whether you like Maduro or not, and I'm not a fan, but again, this is the polarization. So if you don't support Trump going in and overthrowing another government, then, well, you must be supportive of that government. Well, no. But why is it wrong when Putin goes into Ukraine then? And why would it be wrong if Xi Jinping goes into Taiwan then? But it's okay for you to do it. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. It shouldn't matter who's doing it. I'm a Britishman, and if Britain goes in somewhere, it's wrong. And I said that with Iraq and Afghanistan and all the others. But we have this tribalism where, well, yeah, it's okay when we do it. No, it's not. It's not. And you saying that we're going to take another country, Greenland, we're going to have that? No. What do you mean? That's mental. Because if Russia just went, I think we need Kazakhstan. I think we do. I think we need it. It's national security. Could you imagine what the worldwide condemnation? But no, it's all right when we do it. Anyway, that's the end of the free section of Trending. If you head over to iconic.com, you can continue watching. We're going to talk about Netanyahu saying he's not going to attack Iran, which of course means he is. And Keir Starmer as well, because he'll cheer you up on a Tuesday morning. Basically rejoining the EU by stealth, which was always the plan, of course. Now, to continue watching that, like I say, the link is in the description below.